hello there, and welcome to episode number 52 of the Classical Guitar Composers Podcast. As always, I am your host, Chris Hales, and I am glad to be bringing you another episode of the show that features original classical guitar compositions from around the globe. If this is your first time joining me, this is simply a show that airs classical guitar pieces composed by listeners just like yourself. If you would like to have a piece featured on the show, you just simply record your piece, send me an MP3, and I'll air it on the show. It's that simple, as long as it's a classical guitar composition. But assuming that most of you are not first-time listeners, I'm just going to sort of continue where we left off. Obviously, it's been a while since I've done a podcast. It had been a while before I had done the previous podcast. Due mostly to a lack of submissions, but also a lack of time on my hands. So we're still kind of seeing where things are going, but I have had a few submissions, so I'm very excited to have some music to share with you all today, and a little jumping off point for the show, I guess. On a personal level, things are going well. Life is good, it's just busy, so when I talk about not having time, it's not a bad thing other than the difficulty of getting the podcast. But no, it's just life is full of good things happening, and sometimes good things get in the way of other good things, I guess. But anyway, here we are today. The thing that I am disliking most about the current situation of everything is that I host a show that is titled The Classical Guitar Composers Podcast. It's supposed to be a show for and by composers, and I'm beginning to wonder if I should be calling myself a classical guitar composer currently, because it's now been, I don't know how long it's been a while since I've recorded finished a composition, let alone recorded one. Every time I start to compose again, it's not happening. I've been unable to initiate the I've been unable to abide by my own advice, which is to just write music, and even if it's bad, you write it until it gets good. That's what has always worked for me in composition. It's what always saves me from a writer's block. And right now, I guess, in the cycle of compositional behaviors, I'm in the point where I'm not making it happen. I write, it's not good, and so I stop writing, turn my attention to other things. And, I'm not really worried about it. This is just what I do. But I don't like going, over a year without any output. It's hard to get better when you're not continually composing. So here I am chastising myself on my own show, but it's a little conversation that needs to be had with myself, because you're not getting it done, dude. You're not getting it done. How can you call yourself the host of the Classical Guitar Composers Podcast if you don't compose guitar music? Or any music for that matter. I mean, it's nothing else. To tell you the truth, I've actually been playing more electric lately. Now that's not something that I'm concerned about, or, there's the classical guitar takes it gets like 90% of my guitar attention. So when I on occasion put it down to favor something like electric, well, that's good. It's not even a bad thing. I need to brush up the electric chops. But the thing about non-classical music, at least the kind that I play, is it's kind of like riding a bike. I can stop for a long time. I can not touch my electric guitar for months on end, pick it up, and I can get right back into it. Classical guitars, to a lesser degree, the same way, but not. It takes more. It takes longer to get that bike moving again. Now that's opposed to something like, I used to play violin pretty well. I was never great, but I used to play it pretty well. But violin is not like riding a bike to me. And I finally just accepted the fact one day that violin is too difficult to jump in and out of for me. It requires a ton of practice for me to keep my chops up, and it needs to be pretty consistent. When I take time off, it's a huge step backwards, and it takes a lot of time to reacquire the skill level that I was at, and then to grow from there. I made a decision that I'm not going to play this instrument anymore. It hurts my neck, it hurts my back, it hurts my ear, and I'd rather devote that time and attention to the guitar, which I play well and care much more about. And so, anyway, I'm not as much worried about, going through a phase of playing less guitar. I mean, I don't want to, but, I am more concerned about a phase of less composition. But that's how it goes. Anyway, one other thing, and then we'll go into the some email and the corresponding music. I think there's pretty big email, so there's a lot to discuss within that email, so we won't have a huge introduction. But I will just say this one little thing. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure. Let's see. When I would have last put out the podcast, it would have been before the cancellation. So I've been so excited because I bought tickets to the Aerosmith Peace Out tour, the allegedly final tour. Whatever. It was getting great reviews. I was staying away as much as possible, though, from any kind of thing on Aerosmith online, because I didn't want to know what the set list was. But I guess based on the way Google likes to spy on me, it knows I like Aerosmith. So anyway, I find out that it's getting good reviews, and I'm so excited. And then came the news that the tour has been postponed indefinitely, and as of now, it's claimed that it will be rescheduled for 2024. But we'll see. I don't have high hopes that it will be rescheduled, but even if it is, here's what is such a bummer about it. In Utah, we rarely get a big concert on a Friday or a Saturday night. They always hit Utah on Monday. We get what seems to me at best like a Thursday show. At least for anything I go to. I mean, I know concerts they must be happening on Friday nights, but I just feel like there's a lot of like Tuesday shows. And this Aerosmith concert was on a Wednesday. However, it was a Wednesday the night before a holiday. It was it was going to be on basically the equivalent of a Friday night. And I was so excited. But it's been canceled. So when it's rescheduled, what do you bet? It's going to be rescheduled for a Monday, I'm sure. If we even get that. Now, it's not the end of the world. I've seen Aerosmith. It was the first concert I ever went to. It was fun. What bums me out is that I've come to a realization, because I am the way I am, I like what I like. There's no new artist out there that I'm going to get interested in and go see live. At least not. I mean, I might be talked into going to a concert, but I'm never going to get their albums and listen to them, and I like what I like. I'm not interested in looking for new music other than classical, sure. But I just kind of realized like people show me bands. My friend thought I might like Greta Van Fleet, and I was like, not really. I'm just at the point in my life where I know what I like, and that's all I'm interested in. And what I didn't realize, stupidly, was, when I was going to a lot of concerts like 20 years ago, and a lot of these artists I like, I would often not go for various reasons, and I wish I would have, because I never thought about the fact that, I guess what I didn't realize was that one day when all these bands retired or died, for whatever reason stopped performing live, that I wouldn't have, replacements for them. It never occurred to me. And maybe I didn't know I was going to grow up to be such a curmudgeon. I don't know. But many of them Well, I just know that most of the bands I really like are on their last legs. So now I'm wanting to go see as much as possible, even though I'm really not a big concert goer these days. I'm very selective in what I'll go to because I don't tend to enjoy concerts as much as I used to. However, I do when I go see like a band that I know is not going to be around much longer. I go with a little more appreciation and enjoyment. So this Aerosmith thing really bummed me out. I adore Aerosmith. They're a band that I just have always loved, and in all my phases of like different types of music I've been into, that's one band that just was always a favorite. An unabashed love for Aerosmith. That you know. So we'll see what happens with that. I have seen most of my favorite bands that I care to see anyway, or that I would have ever been able to see. I'm a big Allman Brothers fan. I saw the Allman Brothers a handful of times. It was great when they announced they were going to stop touring, like 10 years ago or so. It was a bummer. It made me sad, but I oh well. And then they started dying. Greg Allman died, and then Butch Trucks died. And, it's like, okay. I mean, that was a bummer. But I had at least seen them a handful of times. I never saw Black Sabbath. That one stings a little bit. I've seen Ozzy Osbourne a few times, but I never saw Black Sabbath. See, there's one that I didn't make the effort to do, and that's probably a done deal. I guess you never know, though. There's a lot of money in touring, so there's incentive, but still, I don't see that one happening. And if it does, I don't think Ozzy's got a lot of performance left in the tank. I think I kind of missed the better years of that. However, as sad as I've been about Aerosmith, we just got an announcement today that Iron Maiden are coming back to Salt Lake City, which surprised me a little. Seems how they did on their previous tour. Usually we don't get everything, but not only are they coming to Salt Lake City in a year, they're coming on a Friday night. So I couldn't be happier, and I'm really excited about this tour they're doing. I can't believe we're getting a big Friday night concert. So I'm stoked. But it's like a year away, so we have a year for it to fall apart, for things to go wrong, and for it to get canceled. You never know. There's plenty of things that could go wrong. But as of now, that's something to look forward to. Although I don't know about what it's going to cost. I guess we'll have to make sure that I'm going. But you know what? Here's the thing. I'm kind of a sucker because I know it's probably going to be the last one. So I'll spend the absurd amount of money, and I'll not regret it, and I'll just be living it up. I guess I'll spend the Aerosmith money on it when I get my refund for that. Okay, anyway, this is not a Chris's favorite bands podcast. This is classical guitar, but yeah, I guess if you're listening, you probably know by now how this goes. So let's go to email. I've got something here from a friend of the show, someone I consider not only a listener but a friend. He's been interviewed on the show. He's been featured multiple times, and that is Kristian Heim. Kristian says, "Hi Chris, it has been a while. I've been meaning to write for you for quite some time, about the last 8 months or so, but it feels like time has been on fast forward the last year, and as you mentioned in your last episode, it has just been busy. I am sad to hear you have not been getting submissions, so I will send you some music. There was some comments I was going to make about episodes earlier this year. It sort of seems like a dim memory, but a couple of points I do remember. The Villalobos etudes. I liked your ranking episode. I must admit, lots of them I do not enjoy that much. Just a couple I like. And I can really relate to what you said about number 12. Seems like he was just trying to finish quickly. For my album, I wanted it to be more than 40 minutes long, but during mastering I decided that I was not happy with one of the pieces, so I ended up composing a new piece in a couple of hours on a Friday evening. I was quite happy with the result, but it was rushed. I think you have played it on the show. It was Opus 21. I think you discussed in one of your episodes doing work yourself instead of hiring professionals. I can totally relate. I had professionals, he puts in quotes, doing work on my roof ventilation covers. They did really crap work, and they had to come back and fix it before I was willing to pay them. The year after, when I was re-roofing the house, I decided to do it myself. When I opened up the work done on the previous, it was full of mold. Oh, man. I often experience that I have to guide the professionals in how to do proper work. I don't get it. There are so many professionals, I am not saying all, with no pride in their work. However, one of my big news is that this year I had a guitar building studio added to my house. Oh man, I really, really love it. I finally have a fully dedicated place to build classical guitars. I will attach some pictures of the workshop and the guitar I just finished. I did have professionals build the workshop. I was required to. However, I found a company that really are professionals and did really good work, so I am very happy about that. You discussed in one episode a new computer for music production. Well, there will never be a last computer. Tell me about it. Having working in the computing industry for 20 plus years, there will always be another upgrade at some point. What I am very appreciative is the fact that anyone can produce professional music at home now with almost any new computer. The music production has really been democratized over the last couple of decades, and you can make incredible recordings and music at home with quite inexpensive equipment. My studio machine is probably 8 to 10 years old, however upgraded a bit along the way. But with an interface and a set of dual Rode microphones, the recordings sound great. Anyway, a lot of stuff happened here since we were last in touch. I already mentioned my new guitar building studio. A store in downtown Oslo is now selling my guitars, and I just handed over 3 guitars to the store a couple of weeks ago. Their feedback is that they are world-class quality and the best guitars being built in Norway, and although still a bit unbelievable, a very much appreciated feedback. I must admit there has not been a lot of composition or practicing going on this year with so much going on, and now with the guitar building studio up and running, my spare time has been going into building. But I am sending you 2 pieces. The first one, Eventyr, the Norwegian word for adventure/fairy tale, is a piece I wrote last year. I am also sending you Forever in Our Thoughts, a piece I composed for someone we lost, and one of the first compositions I recorded in modern times with no clue about recording or production of music. Oh, but I did do something significant when it comes to my compositions. I made all my classical guitar compositions freely available on MuseScore. I know you really enjoy collecting scores. Feel free to check them out, and feel free to share with your crowd. You can find them all here. I will share that link on classicalguitarcomposers.com. I would love to get some more ratings on them too. Anyway, I do really enjoy your podcast and happy to hear you will continue it. I will be very sad if you stopped doing them. I will try to coerce a couple of others to submit some music. Okay, so attaching some photos and music. Take care, my friend, Kristian. Thank you so much, Kristian. You know, I'll be sad if I stop doing it too. And right now, I don't want to. It's probably just going to be a little slower output as it is, but I'm not ready to pull the plug on this thing. So we'll see how it goes. Let me just go back through these. So the first one, the Villalobos Etudes. My take on those. If you haven't heard it, I did a ranking episode where I went through each etude and gave it a star, 1 to 5 star ranking based on a combination of how valuable it is as a piece of music, so how musically valuable it is, I guess, and also how valuable it is as an etude. Does this actually build a useful skill? Does this serve the purpose of an etude? And maybe I may have also factored in, is there some joy when playing it, or is it just a chore, So, as you may have gathered from that response from Kristian there, I'm not a big fan of number 12. Yeah, and I just, I don't remember where I was at with 12 last time I talked to y'all, but I reached a place with 12 where I just said, okay, I'm done. I'm good. I like, I, I worked out my fingerings. Here's how I would do it, but I'm not gonna do it. And that was, I didn't like 12, and I never have enjoyed listening to it. And it, a lot of the pieces, not just Villalobos, a lot of pieces in general, I've enjoyed more when I've cracked into them as a player and not just as a listener. But 12, I didn't. It could be partly that it's number 12 and I'm ready to move on. It could be just that it's not very good. I don't know. The Villalobos etudes are kind of like reading a really thick classic book, a piece of classic literature that you're really like, I want to say that I've read this book, but I don't know that I want to read it, but you do, and you get into it and you enjoy it. But by the end, you're like, you really want to read something else. That's how I feel. Sometimes when I take on I actually just started reading War and Peace, and it's massive. My son's 11 years old. He comes in, he says, he saw it sitting there. He goes, War and Peace, huh? Bold move. I said, yeah. That's kind of like what working on those 12 etudes are. Anyway, although, well, I haven't finished War and Peace, so I can't say if it's got if there's a little bit of etude number 12 in it, or if it's all like etude number 7 and 8. I mean, that'd be cool. The thing with professionals going to this, I was talking about, I don't even remember what I was talking about. Just stuff with my house, man. It most of the time it really is just easier and more satisfying to do it yourself. But sometimes, you can only do what you can, I guess. I've got 2 vehicles now that I do pretty well with mechanics, but I've reached a breaking point with 2 vehicles. I've got to take them into the shop. Stuff that's gone beyond my skill level. Now, this guitar building studio, I did reply to Kristian's email, and I mostly talked to him about this because this is so cool. The studio looks awesome. Kristian sent me pictures, and I don't know if I have a way to share the pictures. I think I will try if I can. I can't even remember if I can get them on my little blog page, which is classicalguitarcomposers.com. But if I can, I will put them up. It's a cool little studio. If you haven't, check out Kristian's YouTube page. It's Kristian Heim, Heim. He spells Christian with a K. You got to see these guitars. These are, Kristian is building beautiful guitars. I mean, one day, Kristian, there might come a point where I might ask you if I can commission you to build me a guitar. That's not today because it's not in the... Well, you are clearly busy with plenty of guitars to build, but there might be a day where I can set aside the funds to have you do that. And there's nothing like a handmade guitar. The guitar I play was built by a friend. It's a beautiful guitar, and there's always room for more guitars, right? I don't know that that's actually true. I don't think I have room for any more guitars in my house. At this point, like, if one comes in, one's got to go. It feels blasphemous to say, but it is the reality. I don't know, though. I think I might be able to find room for another one day, though. Maybe I'll be in a different house by then. Anyway, Kristian does amazing work. And, I say that not only based on the pictures, he plays them. He'll play you a sample on his channel. So the guy's playing his own composition on a guitar that he built himself. I mean, that's just as I have so much respect for that and admiration that I can't say enough about it, Kristian. You're awesome. So, and congratulations about having the guitars in stores, in a store. You'll have to let me know how, if you've managed to sell any. I know guitars can sit on a shelf a long time in a store, but I have no doubt there's people looking at those things. But it's been about a month since this email came through. I'm curious if you've had any luck there, or I hope so. But if not, I have no doubt you will, as the sounds like the music store, their opinion on them is that they are world class. That's really cool. Yeah, the new computer. I love my new computer. That's going really well. It's nice to finally be off the old machine. It was, here's the truth is, I could still be recording on the old computer. I would just have to stay on older versions of software. And that's really what it comes down to, is if you want to keep your software current, eventually you got to upgrade your hardware. But, now that I've bitten the bullet, I'm glad. This computer is faster. I love some of the changes Avid has made to Pro Tools in recent months. Although, Avid, you've screwed some things up. You really need to look at, as if Avid's, you know what, let's not. Okay, if anyone listening to this podcast happens to work at Avid, you screwed up the Elastic Audio importing a few updates ago. And when you import Elastic Audio tracks into another session, it forces you to copy those files, and there's no reason for it, and there's a way to get around it, but it is a huge hassle, and I wish you'd fix it. I really wish you'd fix it. Please. Anyway, I'm on a new computer, new audio interface. I actually just upgraded to the most recent Pro Tools update, so maybe they have, maybe it fixed it. I doubt it, but I don't even think they're aware of the problem. But new stuff. Old microphone, but otherwise new stuff. And I know, I was very naive to believe that guy when he told me this is the last computer you'll ever have to buy with its whole whopping 8 gigabytes of RAM. I just now know that if anybody tells me that, they're full of it. Now that I know that, I can accept the situation. I don't have to be happy about it, but I can accept it. We can all move on with our lives, right? Apple's already... They've already got newer versions of what I'm operating on, and I'm like, oh boy, how long before this one goes obsolete? They now have the M2 silicon chip. I'm on the M1. And I'm just like, in 5 years, they'll be on like the M15. It's just, what can you do? What can you do? At some point, maybe I'll just go back to a little cassette recorder, and I'll just record onto a cassette, and then have it digitally transferred to the internet, and that's how I'll do my podcast. Anyway, Kristian, thank you so much for the email, and congratulations. I'll share the link to his scores. I don't know what the rating system is. I'll have to check that out, but yeah, get on and give him some ratings. And while you're at it, how about giving this show a little 5-star rating while you're rating things, huh? Maybe go to iTunes, give this a little 5-star review. Or whatever you think it's worth. I guess if you want, you can give it a 1-star review. Or you could just keep that to yourself and listen to something else. But I don't know. The show's not currently sponsored. I don't know. I suspect we've probably hit the max of listeners, the ceiling. We're probably at the ceiling, and that's fine. I kind of ignore all the sponsorship things. Maybe I need to look more into it, but why did I bring that up? I don't know. Oh, I guess because of star reviews. I don't know what good they would do me at this point. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I think 5-star reviews maybe help the show grow, get it featured more, noticed more, but, the truth is that this audience is probably, we've probably found most of you by now. But there's a fair, don't get me wrong, there's a good chunk of people listening to this show from all over the globe. And I can see that in the data, like from literally all over the world. And when you submit a piece of music, it's being heard all around the globe. And sure, yeah, there's other ways you can share your music too. But this is one where you've got an audience of classical guitar people hearing your piece. That's pretty cool. I think it's cool. That's the whole point of the show, right? So with that, let's go on to these two pieces. Oh, and by the way, Kristian, I am really sorry to hear that you you lost someone. I think composing a piece in someone's honor who's passed on is just a beautiful gesture. And so, with some reverence to the situation, I look forward to hearing this piece. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the first one right, but these are the two pieces by Kristian Heim. The first one being Eventyrr, and the second being Forever in Our Thoughts. Okay, that was Even Tear and Forever in Our Thoughts by Kristian Heim. You may have noticed the second piece had some orchestration in addition to the classical guitar. And that is something that I didn't mention, but yeah, you can have a classical guitar piece featured on the show that has other instruments, just as long as we have classical guitar within it. And that is a great example of such a piece. So, Kristian, thank you so much. And best of luck going forward with the guitar building. It's awesome to see how that's growing. It's time for me to go do some guitar playing of my own. You know what the worst thing about when you stop playing classical as much is that you, at least for me, I still have to do the nail care. Like, I never cut my nails off and say, oh, I'm not going to play for a while, so I'm going to cut my fingernails. Like, what sucks is when you file your nails down, get them sanded, get them all shaped, and then pretty soon you have to do it again. You're like, I haven't even played my guitar, and here I am filing my nails again. I have a thumbnail that's like, it's broken on the edge, and yet I've managed to go like a week and a half without this thing like coming off, but it's like got that little crack, so it like everything gets caught in it. It gets caught on the sheets, and it gets caught on shirts, and it gets caught with my hair. Just what a lifestyle we live, right? Time to play. And my nails need a trim. Okay, it's been good to do another show. I'll see you next time, whenever that may be. Hopefully next month. We'll sit tight. It will come. If it doesn't quite make it in the next month, then look forward to it in the next. Until then, keep on plucking.